No. Hello, good Tvoch, everyone. Parshas Korach. Amazing stuff. Without getting too much into it, just a vort that was said by Rav Tzvi Cheshin Shlita. He said Korach contested on the supremacy of Moshe and Aaron. So it says about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was the humblest man upon the face of the earth. So if Korach contested Moshe Rabbeinu's greatness, he had to be even more humble than the man who is the humblest upon the face of the earth. The only place he could be the humblest man is beneath the earth, right? Because Moshe Rabbeinu is the humblest upon the face of the earth. So the earth opened up its mouth and swallowed him up. Go be humble. Okay. Baal Hashem, today we have two stories in Baal Hashem from Sichos Haran. The first story is the story of the Rishonim with the Baal Shem Tov. This is before the Baal Shem Tov was revealed as the Tzaddik Ador. There were many wicked people who were mitzar him, who argued with him, and so one day called him and they asked him to come to them and tell them a certain thing, and their kavana, they want to discuss something with him. Their main kavana was actually to beat him up, chas v'chalila, and kill him. The Baal Shem, even though he knew exactly what it is they had in the mind, he went there. And when he came, they made big suda for him, and they gave him a wine, a very, very strong wine, that when one would drink a little bit from that wine, one would become intoxicated almost immediately. And the idea was that once the Baal Shem Tov will become intoxicated, chas v'chalila, they will chas v'chalila kill him. So before the Baal Shem drank the wine, he asked them to bring him apples, because he had a special kavana, a special meditation with a holy name that with apples, one dispels the influence of wine. And he would drink a lot from the wine, and he did not become drunk. Well, obviously, they also had to drink from the wine. They couldn't just give him the wine. Supposedly was a secret of secrets, right? So they drank from the wine as well. So, and when they realized that they were getting dozy, they said, that the place where they were was some kind of was a fortress of some sort. I don't know what it was. They said they should close the doors and bar the doors so the Baal Shem Tov should not run away. And they started arguing with him and demeaning him, but the wine was stronger than they were, and they fell asleep. So Baal Shem ordered his whoever it is that was with him, his Misharis, whatever, to tie up the wagon and leave. So his servant told him, that these Rishonim, they closed up that place and it's locked. There's no way to go. So Hashem told him, go tell the doors in my name that they should open immediately. So the Misharos went, he told the doors to open, and they opened with great noise. When the wives of these Rishonim, they saw this miracle, they asked the Baal Shem Tov, they beseeched him, they were crying, and they begged him that their husbands should not be punished for what they did. And he answered them that it's already too late, that it was already decreed upon them fire and a plague and poverty. And any child that will be born from them, will be a cripple, will be deformed. So they begged him to please, please, please abolish the decree. So he told them that the decree was pushed off for 20 years because of the fact that they asked him. And the Baal Shem Tov said that if they would have touched him, even as much as with a finger, half a world would have been destroyed. And all this came about because of the bad people, the snakes that spoke against him. If it would have been for that, Baal Shem would have been brought to Mashiach already and make the entire world B'ezrat Hashem do tshuva. People don't realize what Tzadikim are. By the way, there's a Maase that Rabbeinu, when it was one day that you probably know about the decree of the Kantonisten, that they ordered that the Jewish children should be taken to the Tsar's army. And the conscription was for 25 years. Once they took a child, took him to the army, you understand that, Shem and Achem. So Rabbeinu cried about it, and he tried to get all the tzaddikim to work with him to annihilate this gezerah. And they didn't get excited, they didn't get the message. Rabbeinu was working on this alone, and he said that he was able to push it off for 20 and some odd years. And that decree actually came about 25 years later. So it's very, you see a parallel, but pushing Xer for 20 years. Okay, Schusa again, B'ezrat Hashem will be bench with the Gevaldige week with Schusa Baal Shem Tov. The second story for tonight, this is a story from Rabbeinu Arizal. This talks about the union of incarnations, Gilgulim. There's something that happened in the days of Ari HaKadosh. There was once in Sudas Mitzvah of Nisuin, Shara Brachas. Went to Shara Brachas of a Talmid Chacham. There was a Meredik Talmid Chacham and big Yeshamayim. It was holy, pure, everything. That married a woman, and after the chuppah, they gave him a piece of chicken with a bone in it. And when he took the chicken that was before him and he ate it, and he was choked, and he died. So as you can imagine, everybody started crying, and it was a tragedy. But the Ari HaKadosh did not cry at all. You You didn't even see any kind of sadness on his face at all. So people asked him, well, what's going on? What is this? So, and the fact that, such a horrible thing happened, and Arizal acts as like nothing happened, like a waiter dropped a dish on the floor or something. It's just nothing. So Arizal explained why he did not become, sorrow and other bit. He was smiling. He says, "Let me tell you something. This particular Gemara already fixed, rectified his neshama throughout the entire Gilgula. Everything was perfect." And he says, in the previous incarnation, not the one when they were holding that he just passed away, the one before, he was already a huge holy tzaddik and was very famous. And there was not one single avera that he left that he did not fix. But there was one single thing that because of that, he had to become incarnated again. Because there were many, many years, there was one neshama that was going in the world of Toh, where the Toh is, it's a certain state after a person leaves this world. Hashem should reprieve us from such a gzera that the neshama doesn't even realize that it passed away. The neshama thinks that life goes on living. It's like, and it goes on and on and on. And the only problem is that he's having a bad day. But it's a bad day that never ends. This one happened, and what a bad hair day is. It's like nothing goes on, and this happens, whatever it is, and it keeps on going on and on and on and on. This is Olam Atoyo. Shem Yilachem. Rabbeinu told us a story about one person that used to go to his Rebbe, to a tzaddik, once a year. And he passed away. And he went to Olam Atoyo, didn't even realize that he passed away. By the way, that's one of the reasons that in Breslov, in the Levaya, the people tell the nifter, you should know that you passed away, that you died. Don't let anybody fool you. You should go immediately to the Rebbe. And so that person went, and he, in his mind, his neshama still figured that he is a merchant, and there's people working for him, and was having a bad time. That this didn't work and that didn't work, and one here, and something fell, something broke, and something this, something that. And it kept on going on and on and on and on. And then the time came for him to go to his Rebbe. So he told all his servants, who were really avenging angels, they were demons. They were not and he says, okay, now just let everything go. I'm going to my Rebbe. He says, no, what are you talking about? It's the middle of, this business proposition. Whatever, you can't let it go. Whatever. He says, I don't want to hear about it. We're stopping. We're going to the Tsar and going to my Rebbe. And so that to reveal to him that he was already deceased. So he said, well, in that case, for sure I want to go to my Rebbe. And they had to take him to his Rebbe, and the Rebbe fixed him already, took him from Oil Matoyu. So Hashem Yiracham, Hashem should save us from Matoyu. So Arizal said that there is this neshama, because Oil Matoyu, there's another story that Rabbeinu said about Oil Matoyu. There was a Rav in town, that he was the rabbi in the town, and he actually passed away, and he did not realize what was going on. And they took him, and they purified him, and they put shrouds on him. And whatever he was telling the people, what are you doing? I'm fine. And nobody would listen to him. And they went and they buried him. And so he felt him, and this is patently unfair. What are you burying me for? And so when everybody, you couldn't argue with him. So when everybody left, he came out of his grave and started going back to town. And he looked, and he saw that it wasn't his town. And he didn't know what to do. What is he going to do with the shrouds? You can't just come into town walking in shrouds. So he figured maybe, these are barely used shrouds. It just, just that day they put them on. Maybe able to sell them and get a different beged, whatever it is. So he managed to do something, and then he went in town, and there two people came to him at an argument, and they were looking for somebody to make a Torah din tzedek, to basically to give him a true psak, a din emes. So they came to him, and so he heard their cases, and he gave him a true psak. So I'm not okay, I want to give him a true psak. So they gave him a coin, of some money, for schar, for mediating, whatever. So he was hungry and decided he was going to some kind of a soup kitchen, some kind of Dunkin' Donuts, I don't know, whatever it is. He went in there and he ordered some food. And while he was waiting for the food, there became a big brouhaha in this town. And they came and they found him, and they said, how is it possible that somebody will come, a stranger will come, and paskin psak din shel emes? Nobody, paskin a din emes in this vicinity, I don't know how many years. And so they searched him. Maybe he received a bribe. And they found this coin that he got, and they beat him up. And it was then that he found out that he actually died. And that time when they searched him and beat him up and the whole thing occurred 80 years after his death. Full understanding about what Olam HaTorah means. So, there are many years, there's one neshama going in Olam HaTorah until it became a judgment based in Shalmala. This neshama will become incarnated in a pure chicken, and when this chicken will merit to be eaten by a tzaddik on the Shabbos, Kodesh, the Anir Tikkun. And so it happened. That neshama became incarnated in a chicken, and one Yir Shamayim bought it for Shabbos Kodesh. And when the women that cooked the Kfar Shabbos, they looked at the chicken and it looked like a shtickle, maybe the chash, maybe it's treif, maybe it's not kosher. So they went to ask that Rav Tzaddik, that in the previous Gilgul was a dayan, was a great dayan, and he knew if it was kosher. And that dayan, in other words, in that previous incarnation, that made a mistake. He made a mistake, and he asked the chicken. He passed that the chicken was treif and could not be eaten. And this neshama did not have a tikkun. If you can imagine for a neshama to be incarnated in a chicken and the suffering that it has to go through. First of all, b'chlal, for a neshama, for a human being, to be me'uber in an animal, in a tremendous anguish. And that neshama afterwards has to go through the suffering of being cooked. Now, if anybody went to a really hot mikveh, well, I'm talking about really being cooked. Being shechted and being cooked, going all this tsar. And he made a mistake. And after all this, escaping, the fate of becoming a Purdue oven stuffer roaster and being shechted by kosher shochet, and being zoiche that it being by a Jew, and Jew will make a proper bracha. The whole thing is like a chance, keviyachol, that hashgocha after hashgocha after hashgocha, and this Rav Paskin, that chicken was treif. That neshama went to Beis Din Shel Mala and screamed about this holy man. That after everything that he had to go through, and somebody with True Shemayim bought a chicken, and also Chvot Shabbos, and the tikkun was ready, everything was ready, and with his mistake, he spoiled it. He spoiled this neshama's tikkun. So Mishamayim, they would judge it, and the psak in Shemam is that tzaddik had to come and become incarnated one more time in the Gilgul and fix that particular neshama that will again has to be incarnated in a chicken. And that chicken was that neshama. When it was shechted to the Sudas mitzvah, and this holy tzaddik started eating from that chicken, immediately this neshama was rectified. And this tzaddik, that's it. He finished his job. There's no need for the tzaddik to remain in this world because he already fixed everything they had to fix. So his neshama went up to Gan Eden as well in Olam on the Shamas. Oh, my brother, my brother, my brother, take a look and see. In Orachayim HaKodesh, Pashas Vayechi, on the Pasuk, Vayikrevu, Yimei Yisrael Lamos, the days of Yaakov Avinu came close to dying, that he mentions in Kisvei Arizal, and put these words as a crown upon your head. You should know what is the measure of a person's days upon the earth, and you will find a solace to your soul. And now, B'ezrat Hashem, let us go to Sichos Haran for this week. We're going to Sicha Kuf Chavtes 129. Rabbeinu is going straight for the jugular. Iker iskabus hataiva, the most powerful vice in this world. The hainu taiva samshaga, taiva of women. Urak mechmas atzvus emosh chayr. It only comes because of depression and despondency. You have to overcome with all your power to be all the time happy, forever happy. Even if you sometimes fall, even if it happens, sometimes you fall into mud, into dirt, that is very, very difficult to get out, to escape. And so what do? And from that, so you cry and you cry out and you cry out and you cry out. And Rabbeinu lifted up his hands a little bit and didn't say anymore. And it says the inyan of the thoughts and the bilbulim, all these fantasies and hallucinations that come to a person about this inyan. He says the problem is bad enough when it happens. He says don't confuse it, don't think about it, not before and not after. In other words, what Rabbeinu is telling us over here is as follows. First of all, and Korach is a very good example for that. I mean, what did Korach, what was his trainer? He says he says a house full of Sipurey, does it need mezuzah? Then he says, if a talis that is made totally from tchelis, does it need, a string of tchelis to pater it? Moshe Rabbeinu said yes. So they made fun of him. He says, it doesn't make any sense. Their machshava is, what is a house full of sfarim? What is a talis that is totally made of tchelis? It means perfection. In other words, we're telling you, if you have a house full of sfarim, do you need a shtickle mezuzah that has 3 pashas on it, 2 pashas in it? You have a talis as a kula tchelis. Do you need 1 extra string of tchelis to make tzitzis for it? The Taina was a misunderstanding of what a person here is here in this earth for. They said, listen, it's either or nothing. A house full of sfarim represents perfection. Perfection does not need another tikkun, 2 parshas of this. A talis shekulat cheles means perfection. You don't need an extra fixing of a single, yarn of tcheles. On the other hand, what their meaning is that unless the house is full of sfarim, a mezuzah wouldn't help. What is a mezuzah? Just 2 parshas. You need to be a house full of sfarim. That doesn't even mezuzah. Didn't need a mezuzah. It talis shekulat cheles and even needed tzitzis. Meaning to say that unless you are a house full of sfarim, unless you are beged that is not completely of tcheles, unless you're perfect, a little mezuzah and absolute tcheles is not going to help you. A little bit is nothing. This is what they didn't understand. The taiva of women is the taiva that we are tested with in this world. This is it. And the main thing is that we're working on it. The biggest dimion, Rabbeinu says, we learn Rabbeinu says you have to break out of the power of the imagination. Breaking out of the power of the imagination and coming to a sechel amiti, working on it, incorporating in your life, and then becomes part of who you are. In other words, first of all, you have to understand, let's say somebody who's far from Yiddishkeit, realize I have to become a Torah, somebody who's keeping Shabbos and a Torah keeping Jew. You're still not keeping Jew, but you realize, so you have to break off this dimion that the main thing is, I don't know, whatever their fantasies are, and you know that you have to do tshuva, you know that you have to get to where you need to get. First of all, you have to break the madama. The first breaking the Rabbeinu calls it breaking the stone heart. The main breaking of the stone heart, the first breaking of the stone heart is the power of imagination causes you to figure out that you're not good enough. You're just not good enough. You're unhacking it, man. This is not what it's about. It's not working. Take a look at all these other people around. They're holy. They learn, they study. They're holy, they're pure. They're down for hours. Whatever it is that they do. Look at you. Thoughts, licentious thoughts, immodest thoughts come because of depression. That's the international antidepressant. Make myself feel good. Afterwards, it makes a person feel worse than before. What can you do? But, while it's going on, it feels great. Or at least it seems like it feels great. And a person can go after this and fall into bad habits, bad deeds. And this is when the imagination takes over. That's it. You're done. Might as well stick a fork in you. No chance for you. This is the main koyach of imagination that you need to break. Same way that you broke the imagination that there's life outside of Yiddishkeit. And you realize that you have to get into Yiddishkeit. And you find yourself starting and falling back and starting and falling off. You have to do the same thing over here. So what do you do when you find yourself, deep in the muck? Each one with his own muck. What do you do? You cry out. And you cry out. And you cry out. If it seems to be working, or it doesn't seem to be working, I'm telling you right now, it's none of your business. What are you talking about? Not my business. Look at me. Look where I am in life. Because Baruch Hu knows exactly who you are. He knows exactly what you need. The tzaddik is with you. And you are in the muck. What you're supposed to do is not say, well, okay, if I'm in the muck, I might as well enjoy the ride. No. Lift your hands up to Kodesh Baruch Hu and cry and cry and cry, whether it helps or it doesn't help. You keep on keeping on. And now I said to myself, I'm not going to think those things. And lo and behold, I kept on thinking those things, and look at what I've done. The man said, don't worry about this. Don't worry about it before it comes. And when it comes, just stop whenever it is you can, as quickly as you can. And afterwards, I said, I can't believe I did it again. I did it again. I went ahead and I did it again. I doggone did it again. I can't believe that. Forget about it. You have to be able to compartmentalize. I can't even say the word properly. Put it in a compartment. That's it. What happened, happened. Put it aside. It's not they get to you. Forget about it. You're in the mud. You lift your hands and you cry. You have the tzaddik with you. Don't worry about it. You have no idea who is on your side. There's the famous story of Elisha that he told Yoram, the king of Israel, there was Israel and Judea. So he told the king of Judea, of Israel, that the Aramites, the king of Aram, was setting up ambushes to capture him and kill him. Now, Yoram was an Ovid of the Zara. And even though he was the Ovid of the Zara, he was a great admirer of Elisha. Elisha was, twice, did twice the miracles that his Rebbe Eliyahu Hanavi did. So every time they set an ambush, Elisha would tell Yoram, listen, there's an ambush set in this particular place. Don't go there. And he wouldn't go there. And time again. So the king of Aram said, listen, there's a spy amongst us that keeps on informing the king of Israel when it is that we're planting an ambush to him. So one of the people that were there told the king of Aram, it's not a spy. They have a prophet. There's Elisha, there's a prophet. He's the one that tells Yoram, the king of Israel, whenever you put up an ambush, he tells you not to go to this place or to that place. So the Aram sent an entire army to capture Elisha. And they were in the valley. And they were in town. And that army of Aram surrounded the town where they were, and ready. So the servant of Elisha told his master, look, as this army is around us. We will never ever be. We're finished. We're doomed. So Elisha, just to calm the boy down, man down, whatever, he told him, there are more on our side than there are on their side. And he opened up the eyes of his servant, and he saw that all the hills and mountains around them, there were millions of malachim with chariots of fire. Just as that he calmed down so he shouldn't raise his voice. And then what Elisha said, he did not unleash this malachim on this army. What he did, he took his bow and he went out, and he had smitten those armies in blindness that didn't recognize him. He says, are you looking for Elisha? They said, yes. So he said, come with me. And he took him all the way to the garrison of Yerem Melech Israel. And he put them all in. And they were blinded. They didn't know. They're thinking they're going to capture Elisha. And they were in the garrison, and around there were the soldiers of Melech Israel. And so Yoram Melech Israel, then he opened their eyes, and they were looking around. They're surrounded, with armed soldiers, armed around them, and they're finished. Their goose is cooked. So Yoram Melech Israel told him, shall I slaughter them? So Elisha said, no. You didn't capture them. You have no right to slaughter them. Feed them and send them back to their king. And so it happens, and the story continues. The power that is with us, there are more with us that are with those that are fighting us, with the thoughts and with the deeds, and are pushing us into the muck. The koyach of Rabbeinu HaKodesh is far greater than that. Schreck sich nicht. Don't freak out. Don't be afraid. Just remember, keep on crying, no matter what. Stop improper thoughts the very first minute that you can, and don't look back. I can't believe I did that. None of that. Just Hashem should help us. We have a great week, a fantastic week. And B'ezrat Hashem, there's Rosh Chodesh, Wednesday, Thursday. We're getting into the summer months, the months where we have to guard our eyes very carefully, B'ezrat Hashem. Kabbalah, that Tammuz is the right eye, and Chodesh Av is the left eye. Shivasa B'Tammuz, Tisha B'Av, the whole thing is, Hashem should help us. Hashem B'Suras Tevis, Yeshuas V'Nechames, a good Voch, B'ezrat Hashem, Gula Shleim, B'ezrat Hashem.